it's really not just about helping clients on their projects. It's really provide that opportunity for other working moms, which is very rare in our industry.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast. Today, we've got an amazing guest. She's going to tell us all about her business. Jing, would you please let us know who you are and who do you help with your business?
Okay, my name is Jing Johnson. I'm the founder and CEO of PRISM Renderings in Houston, Texas. So what we do is we help commercial real estate stakeholders like developers, brokers, building owners to raise capital, get leasing the building or space by creating photorealistic visuals for them before the building or the space got completed.
I love it. So you help paint the picture of what these guys want to get funding for so they can go present it and get the funding that they need to build it.
Yeah, it's really help them to show their vision before the building gets built. As you know, most of times before the construction
I
even
love
gets
it.
started.
I love it.
Yes.
So which person is your client? Is it the developer and the builder, or is it the architect? Who's more the type of person that you're actually helping with this?
All of that you just mentioned. So commercial real estate developers, architects, brokers, building owners, property managers, everybody like involved in the commercial real estate, industry.
I love it. I love it. Now, how did you get this going? Because you're essentially helping businesses who are in the design world trying to sell their vision of what they want to do, and then you produce it for them before it's built. How did you get into this? And tell us about that backstory there.
Yeah, the backstory is that I grew up with both my parents are structural engineers.
Awesome.
So I basically was born and grew up in this big architecture engineering company in China. And that's all I knew. My dad would take me to the project construction site, clients meetings, and I learned a lot from him. And when I was ready to choose a major in college, I chose architecture. It's pretty natural, organic, process for me. And then after I got my degrees and worked there for a couple of years, I moved to the States, to Houston, in the early 90s. So I worked for a few architecture firms before I started my company in 2005.
Was that pretty crazy? I mean, was that pretty different going from Chinese architecture to American architecture?
Very different. It's very different. The setup, the structure, there's a lot of cultural shock and different. It's a totally different system. When I was in China, we work as an entire team from engineer to architects to engineering. Construction is all the whole team. But here, architecture is very like a silo. They are not silo profession, but in terms of the architecture firms, they are pretty much just focused on architecture side. So it was very different for sure.
Interesting. So in China, it was much more consolidated. Architecture and engineering work together. US side, not so much.
Yeah, it's most of the firms are separated.
Okay.
Not in the whole holistic, type of setup.
Now, but your focus right now is entirely on the actual rendering and 3D modeling of these projects. A lot of people would think that that's supposed to be connected to the architecture or the engineering. How did you separate that and kind of make it its own silo?
Well, the architecture firms, some of them can produce those renderings in-house.
Right.
However, most of them are not professionally produced or created because architects train as architects. So they focus on the design, the construction documents. Visualization is not part of their training at school. It's a little bit, but it's a very minor part of
Right.
the whole, training or education. So, and it's very time consuming as well. So it
Gotcha.
takes away a really valuable time for architects to do those visuals. That's why we work with a lot of architecture firms to help them to on this side that their clients
Right.
really require those visuals for their purposes. So we come in as part of the architecture firm team to produce
Cool.
those visuals for them, for their
Cool.
clients.
Now, you also bring a little bit of a twist, right? I mean, let's fast forward a little bit. You move from China, you come to Houston, you get a job at the firm here. Now it's 2005, and you decide to go off and start your own business doing just the rendering parts. Now, I remember this because I actually was involved in 3D modeling and 3D rendering and architecture during the same time frame in 2006 and 2007, 8, 9. Tell us how that evolved. Like, when did you decide, oh my gosh, this is the path I want to take, and these are the types of teams I want to build? How did you grow that?
I didn't plan to start a rendering company when I started getting into this profession.
Yeah.
It was very personal decision because at the time I have two young kids,
Yeah.
5 years old, 8 years old. I was I was struggling between a busy work schedule
Yeah.
and also taking care of them. And it I chose this start this business is purely for the flexibility that I can still professionally work on something that has my, utilize my education
Right.
and
Right.
experience. So it's still in the
Right.
industry, but in the meantime, I can, take care of my kids when they need me.
Totally.
So it's really, I actually work more, I think, but the time, yeah, the time scheduling is much better. Was much better since then.
Yeah, but you now have, as you told me earlier, you've been able to grow and scale this into 5 separate offices and all of your teams, 5 different teams. How did you do that? I mean, where are they located? Is this all offshore? Is it onshore? Is it a hybrid? How have you structured your company so that you can provide all these services?
It's hybrid. So our production teams are
Awesome.
global. We have 5 teams, and then we do have a core management team in
Uh-huh.
US. We have 7 of us working
Awesome.
moms, and yeah, we work on every year uh, prop, prop around 150 to 200 projects
Awesome.
every year.
Awesome.
It's still growing.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Thank you.
And tell us about this. You were telling me earlier there's something unique about all of your teams.
Yes.
What is that?
So there are two uniqueness about our team. One is that our team itself, we are all working moms. That's the reason. It's by design. It's because this business model
Right.
really benefit my work and my family. Grow my kids. Raise my kids. So I
Right.
want to be able to provide the platform for other younger moms to do the same, and so
Right.
we'll continue to go to that direction. And then the second one is really about, we'll probably talk about this a little later, about challenging, the biggest challenge of the business, kind
Yeah.
of related, is that, as you know,
Yeah.
3D renderings is a industry that is continue to grow. And there are
Right.
a lot of low price or other competitors come to the market every day, and we really want to
Right.
differentiate ourselves from other companies. So what we do is we actually
Right.
take a lot of early stage, we call early stage project, that has no design or very limited design information. we were able to provide those
Yeah.
concept design service with the renderings, which is very few companies are doing that.
Cool. Just a few seconds to let you know about a project that we've been putting together for the last several months, and we're finally launching it, called the Captain's Council. You see, as a CEO or operator of a business, it can feel like you get stuck in your own head a lot of the time. You get challenges that you don't know how to resolve. You get people causing problems in your leadership team that you don't know how to resolve. And it's so hard to overcome those things by yourself. You don't have to anymore. Join the Captain's Council. Captain's Council is a group of other CEOs and operators and owners of businesses where we come together once a month for several hours to discuss the biggest challenges you're facing. You express to the council of 8 to 10 people about what's going on. Where do you feel stuck? And these other people are in the same boat as you. They're running and operating their own businesses. They're your peers. They help you kind of dissect what's happening and help you see things that you may not have seen all by yourself. If you don't have a good, strong network of people around you, come join the Captain's Council. This is going to be something that will change the way you run your business and open your eyes to opportunities that you have never seen without the help of your peer group. Come check it out, captainscouncil.com. That's awesome. That's a good way to differentiate yourself.
Yes. Yeah. It's very new.
And then obviously, yeah. So taking a step back though, I want to emphasize the fact that every one of your team on 5 different teams are working moms. What made you decide to go that route in your growth journey? Because that's a very, very unique proposition.
Yes. It's for me, it's really not just about helping clients on their projects. It's really provide that opportunity for other working moms, which is very rare in our industry. I want to be able to be that part of the effort to help younger moms, just like I went through. So if I have the opportunity to do that, helping other moms, why not, right?
Right. No, it's so cool. I absolutely love it. And I myself have a wife with 7 children. And so I imagine the burden and the blessing it is for you to provide working moms an opportunity to do what they were trained to do while also fulfilling that role as a mom. I think it's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm enjoying the journey.
So tell me about the growth part of your business, because clearly going from just a few side projects as a mom to over 150 projects a year, that's not an easy task, but you've been doing this for 17 years.
Yes.
I mean, how have you progressed over the years?
It's at the very beginning, a few years is really just me and a production team overseas. I just grow. I had no idea how to grow or scale the business. For me at the time, is really just a lifestyle business, right? It really support myself in terms of professional growth and also support my family. And so as time going, we got more project and we have clients stay with us for many years. So our project is a number of projects is growing. So I start to recruiting and in terms of the production teams and US management teams as clients really push us to grow.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. So you were able to build new US support people who then brought in more work, and also they're able to manage the production teams. Is that kind of how it works?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, tell us about the other side of the equation here, because not everything works out perfect when you're trying to grow a business. How about on the flip side? What are some of the biggest challenges that you've had to face while you've been trying to grow the business?
Well, one of the biggest challenges I mentioned earlier is that how do we differentiate ourselves in the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
because there's so many service providers, domestic, overseas, and how we are going to differentiate ourselves to provide something unique to our clients become a big challenge. And what happened is
Right.
that I didn't want to take the credit, and taking the company this direction is really come from our clients. They come to us, they ask us
Yeah.
to create those renderings. However, it was they didn't even engage architects or designers, but they really need those visuals at a very, very conceptual early stage.
Interesting.
Yeah, and just by listen to them and have a can do spirit to take on those projects and learn from our experience. That's how we start to take more and more those projects, and now because of that, our company continue to grow, just because of our uniqueness on the marketplace.
That's pretty awesome. Now, I have a question for you because I would imagine that you being an architect by trade and by profession, and then you get people asking you for a pre-architected visualization of a project, that has to be pretty tempting for you to want to get back in and do the architectural on top of the rendering. Have you ever been tempted by that? And if not, how did you avoid that? Because it feels like your company is so focused on the modeling that maybe you didn't do that, but were you tempted?
Well, not the full service architecture firm. Not that. It's purely
Yeah,
on the conceptual design, because we are not competing with architecture firms, and they are our clients and they're
right,
our
right,
partners. Um, so the architects provides a lot of value to the marketplace, and with not just the concept design but schematic design, design development, construction documents,
right,
construction
right,
administration. So they provide a whole
right.
of service. We are not going to even attempt to touch that. We just want to be able to fill the
I'm
gap in
glad you
between.
avoided the temptation.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad
Yes.
you avoided it because I have to imagine I have to imagine it was a little bit tempting.
Yeah, well, I for me actually it's not. I like the stay on the early stage conceptual design and rendering side. Is a quick turnaround. It helps clients dramatically, in terms of time. Sometimes even more than money, because time is even more important than money for them at the
Right,
in some
right.
cases. So to be able to help them, I feel like we provide even more value in those cases. So
Awesome.
I want to focus on what we do.
That's very cool. I love it. I'm glad that you've done that. Now I got to ask you because I've seen in your profile that you are part of some peer groups and things like that. How has being a part of peer mentorship groups changed or helped you in your business growth and development?
It's a tremendous help. And especially when you are looking at other industries, other businesses. I understand a lot of people talk
Right,
about we face the similar, issues and similar challenges. However, each industry has
right.
their own way to provide a unique solution for the problems, and to learn from other industry, other business owners. It's eye opening for me to be able not just to focus on my own business and own industry. It just opened
Right.
a big door for me to learn and to grow and to figure out the unique solutions for our challenges.
That's so cool. I'm so glad that you find value in that. I talk to a lot of founders and I find that often they are part of a peer group. And sometimes it's formal, sometimes it's informal, but everyone that I know of who has a network of people to go and talk to about things that only founders can talk about find great value in that. and it helps them solve a lot of their problems without having to go the consultant route or some other way. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. Is there anyone in your network that you have been able to lean on a little bit in your ability to grow and scale your business over these last 17 years that you'd like to give a shout out to?
There's a lot of people I have learned from and get inspiration from. Right now, I want to give a shout out to Greg Alexander, the founder of Collective 54. And I joined the group.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a professional service focus community. And there's a lot of solutions or frameworks that is much, it's beyond what I've done, way beyond what I've done so far. So I've learned a lot from that community, and continue to
So cool.
to optimize our business and our system. It's a huge help.
Very cool. I've heard nothing but amazing things about Greg Alexander. I look forward to possibly getting him on the show here, because I think that the value of what he's bringing to the table is so important. And so it just brings people who operate businesses to that next level that they were hoping to get to.
Exactly.
Through peers instead of through a crazy intensive program.
Yeah. And it's very pro service, focused. So, and he's so good at just tackle any aspect of the business, come up with the framework. So it becomes much more systematic to tackle those issues. So it's greatly helpful.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, Jing, I appreciate you so much today for spending time with our community and helping them understand what you've had to go through in order to grow and scale your business. And I thank you so much for taking the time to do this today.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here. We're going to list down below all your social and your LinkedIn profiles so people can get in touch with you and learn more about what you've done. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for having me. I love our conversation.
Me too. We'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Hey, what did you think of that interview? I absolutely loved it. Jing and I had an amazing conversation after the interview about her peer network. And I got to tell you, it feels like the majority of the very successful founders I talk to all have a network of people that they turn to and they trust. If you're looking for someone to turn to and trust outside of your immediate network of your employees and your leadership team, you've got to find yourself a peer network. We have one of those networks called the Captain's Council. Click below to learn more details about it. This is such an easy decision for most people to make, because having a peer network of people who are operators just like you. Not everyone's a founder, but everyone's an operator. These people are there for you, to support you, to help guide you in what you're doing in your growth journey. They answer questions. They help each other out. Our community shares stories all the time of their biggest challenges, just like you hear on the episode today. And they help each other come up with steps to resolve those issues and put themselves on a positive track towards growth that they need to embark on to continue growing and scaling their business. It's all tied together, and it is all so much fun. This podcast brings you guests who have been there and done that. If you're in the process of your growth journey and you don't have that network and you need to hear more of these stories, like, subscribe, and follow the stories of our people on the podcast. Also, don't hesitate to ask questions about the Captain's Council, whether it's the right move for you or not. I don't know. But I promise you, everyone that's engaged stays engaged, because every one of us needs a community. So thanks for being here and being part of our community. We look forward to catching you on the next episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast, and we'll see you there.